Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott. There's Dave off. Shit, which way? There you are.
Left. Always left.
My camera's flipped.
I point to my left.
I point to my right, even though. Anyway, hey, we've got another trip back to the 80s today with 1987's Adventures in Babysitting, starring Elizabeth Shue. Quite a few other people that I actually recognize.
Right. Maya Bruton. I think that was the little girl that she was babysitting, Maya Bruton.
Right.
Keith Coogan, I think, was Brad. That was the boy that was in love with her.
Yeah, he looked very familiar.
Anthony Rapp, he looked also familiar, but Kat looked around. She goes, "Why is there another Weasley in this movie?"
I could see why she said that. Absolutely.
I just started laughing. And then
definitely could have been a cousin to Rupert Grint there.
Yeah, right. Kelvin Levels, I think, was the guy that was carjacking the car. And he looked really familiar. That guy, that kid
Joe
really
something,
familiar.
yeah.
I know I've seen him in a lot of other stuff. And I think he's still working because he looks really familiar.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to get this one out of the way because it really surprised me. Dawson, played by Vincent D'Onofrio. I love the fact that he is so young in this, but all I could think of is like, look, motherfucker, you are playing Thor, and you actually end up in the Marvel Universe as Wilson Fisk, a.k.a. Kingpin, which is really cool to see. It's like, oh my God! Foreshadowing in his early career, he's already touching the Marvel Universe.
Yep. I said that to Ken. I said, he's the fuck. What do they call him? Kingpin. I said, that's the Kingpin. See, I forgot another name. And it's easy name to remember. So he's playing Kingpin in the Daredevil.
Yep.
And she's just looking at me like, really? I said, yeah, he ain't that thin anymore.
No, but he is tall. I didn't realize just how tall he was. Oh my God.
Either that or every one of those kids is very tiny.
I did notice that Elizabeth Shue does appear to be very short.
Yeah, she's very tiny. She's very petite. But that boyfriend of hers, you knew he was an asshole right off the bat. You knew he was
way too old to be dating a high schooler.
70. I mean, okay, maybe if you're 18 or 19, maybe.
Oh no, he was mid-20s.
He had to be in his 20s. He had to be in his mid-20s. That guy would have got an ass beat, and he came to my house tried to date my daughter.
What the hell?
Bounced off the hood of his car.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed this movie. It had, as we were talking earlier, I couldn't help but have a John Hughes feel or vibe to it. And I think a lot of that has to do is, guess what? It's in Chicago. It's
and
high
who
schoolers.
Did you say did it?
Christopher Columbus.
Chris Columbus.
Yep.
Yeah. And I didn't catch that last night. I was trying to see, and I must have had my head turned or I sneezed or,
One of the things about this movie that I really, really enjoy is it's absolutely ridiculous in many ways.
Oh my God, her day goes from bad to worse.
But it keeps adding
comedy. It's such a great. That's comedy.
They set the stakes and they keep raising them over and over. She didn't even want to babysit. She didn't even want to babysit that day. And it's just like it snowballs. It snowballs. So what we have here is a movie. This young girl, her boyfriend just lied to her, which is very obvious to everybody but her, and she ends up having to babysit the neighbor's kids or friends of the family's kids, and her best friend gets stranded at a bus stop in downtown Chicago, and she decides to drive into town and has to take the kids, and man, it goes from bad to worse really fucking fast.
That's the first bad mistake the girl makes, and like you said, this is a prime example of such good comic writing.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
The fact that you're having a bad day. And for me, most great comedy is set up bad things happening to good people, but eventually the good person winds up coming out on top. This is just like, you don't see how she's going to come out on top. They get the flat tire. They find this trucker that's going to help them.
Let's talk about the guy with the hook.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
The tow truck driver.
Yeah, the tow truck driver.
So he stops to help them, And they're all scared because they just got through. She just got through telling a scary story about a man with a hook, and he has a hook for a hand. Of course he does, because that's how this movie is. Somebody will say something, and it's fucking happening. Just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And they're all piled in the tow truck, and he gets a call that somebody's at his house sleeping with his wife. So he hauls ass with their car, and oh my god. They go from running away from that and jump in a car to hide with a carjacker who takes them to the mob. And I'm going to stop there because it just keeps going.
And the carjacker is stealing the guy's car that's having an affair with the tow truck driver's wife.
Now, this is a piece of brilliant writing, in my opinion, just because later on in the movie, when they're at the hospital, you run into Dawson again and the guy that he beat, and they're still fighting. It's still going on.
And Dawson helps him again.
He helps him again. Yes.
Not Dawson, the truck driver.
Not Dawson, but Pruitt.
Oh,
Jay Pruitt.
That's it. Oh my God, he helps him one more time to get out, and it's just so well done. The writing, and every time you think, okay, all you guys have to do is calm down, and you'll work it out. Just calm down, take a breath. They never have a chance to take a breath.
They never do.
Oh, when the mob shows up, they get pulled into the chop shop. Now, real quick, folks, for anybody who hasn't watched this yet, if you haven't guessed, we ruin a movie. Scott and I
so
just
go watch this thing.
Scott and I watch a movie, we talk about it. I don't even know why we call ourselves a review show, because we're not really reviewing. We're just talking about movies.
Yeah. It's a loose review. I'm going to give you my opinion.
As a review, this is, oh my God, this is a funny movie. And
it is.
How did you notice, as an actor, Elizabeth Shue, how good of an actress she really is? You see it in Back to the Future, because she's the second girlfriend. After Marty's first in the first one, she's not in that one. She shows up in the second and third one.
Right.
She has moments in that where you're like, oh wow, this girl's pretty good. She's pretty funny, and she does the overreacting and the shock look and stuff. But in this one, oh my God, her facial expressions when something's going downhill. Her expressions when the mob's going to kill him. Her expressions, and it's never the exact same expression.
I believed her as Chris Parker. Absolutely.
You literally look at this girl and you're like, this girl has no idea what's going on. She's from the burbs. She's probably never been into the city on her own ever at this point, because she's only supposed to be, what, 17?
She's 17.
She says 17. So everything that's happening to her is just a complete shock. And her expressions, her acting, at one point she literally falls down backwards in the hospital when they're trying to find out. The kid gets stabbed in the foot.
That doctor was, what the fuck?
But that doctor, you can tell that doctor's been tired. He's probably been in the ER for an 18-hour shift. He's tired as shit. And she asks him about her friend, the stabbing victim, and he's got stabbing victims mixed up. One died, and the other guy's got one stitch. One stitch in his foot.
One stitch.
And she comes up and goes, the stabbing victim, and she's asking about the little kid that's with her that got stabbed in the foot. He looks at her thinking she's talking about the guy who just got stabbed to death in a gang fight. And he says, well, he's dead. And the little sister is freaking out for a moment, right up until Chris, who is Elizabeth Shue, does this perfect expression on her face, and she literally just falls backwards. And
it's well
the
done.
timing that one kid, the other kid, Anthony Rapp, the kid who plays Daryl, the redhead kid, he grabs her like at the last second. She's probably about hip high on him.
Yeah.
So that's a good fall before he grabs her. But that timing is perfect. Like that's a lot of trust for an actor. I don't know how many times he grabbed her and missed, or grabbed for her and missed, or maybe she was hurting herself. But that take is perfect. That is a perfect take.
It's well cast because they all work together so well.
Yeah,
and it's funny. You mentioned the stabbing victim. We have to back up a little bit because there was a gang fight on the damn subway with knives. And it's like everything in this movie ties to each other.
Yeah.
Now,
And
in
gets
the
them to the
80s,
next diabolical moment.
it just keeps
Awful.
going. One of the things that may not be as funny, it was very funny to me, but to maybe younger audiences now may not understand why it was so funny to have all these white kids in the middle of a blues club in Chicago.
Oh my God,
That was pretty fucking funny.
That was brilliant. Nobody
Just the
leaves
fact
here
that they
without
were there.
singing the blues.
Yeah.
Well, I looked over at Kat and I said, in a blues club, and especially back in the 80s, and if you're a white act going to the Apollo, any act going to the Apollo in New York, you better be funny. You better be on your top game. Those audiences will tear you apart. I've listened to black comedians talk about it and singers talk about it. I've heard white singers and white comedians talk about it. You have to show the audience the respect that they're expecting. They are respect. They want respect, but you better be funny and not just good. You can't just go out there and just make it. You got to go out there and blow them away. Dennis Miller talked about when he went out on to the Apollo, and he luckily blew them out of the water, and he walked out I think right after another white comedian,
right,
who is like just bombed. Like they didn't give this guy told one or two jokes, and he was heckled and booed off the stage. They had the hook come out, they drag him off this. I mean the whole 9 yards. So Dennis Miller's walking out on that. That's what this blues club was representing, was that kind of audience. Like that black audience went silent when all these little white kids came on stage.
It's the exact opposite that we see in a lot of movies where a black person walks into a white club and the record skips.
Yes.
This was the flip,
exactly.
and it's like, wow.
That would be the equivalent of having a white or black guy walk into a Western club.
Yeah, country west.
Yeah, country Western club. And then having the guy look at him and say, "You got to sing a Western song here, son." The same exact thing happens to this little girl, and she doesn't know how to sing. She even says, "I can't sing," but she just starts telling the audience about her shitty day. Like, I'm just a babysitter, and then the guy with the guitar, da-na-na-na-na. And she's like, she looks over like, "Oh, I can just tell my story," and she starts telling her story like
the
all
blues
the shit that's been happening to him up to this point. The guy's like, "That's why she's got the blues," and the band just kicks in, and everybody's singing. The fucking crowd loves them. The mobsters are trying to get up to him. It is that scene alone for me is just brilliantly done because, like you said, it was like the fish out of water. Walking into this club by accident, and they walk onto stage.
Onto the stage.
Where they're at. They just walk right onto the stage, and all they want to do is go through the building to the entrance, out the door, and run. And they can't because the lead guitarist, blocks them and says nobody gets off the stage without singing the blues.
And I really would have loved. I would have loved to have seen like an extra scene or something later of the maybe a post-credit scene of the mob having to sing the blues to get out of there.
Oh God, that would have been great.
Yeah,
because he stops the mobsters, and I think that entire audience figured out what was going on.
They did.
Everybody was getting in the mobsters' way.
I got that impression. They knew those kids were running.
Yeah, they knew where they were going. Yeah. So when the mobsters try to go after him, the guy blocks the mobsters. Nobody gets out of here without singing the blues. And the guy's just looking at him. And they're just surrounded by people. They ain't going to do shit.
I like that scene. The young girl, Sarah.
The little girl with the Thor helmet?
Yeah. That was really cool to see somebody that they made her such a Thor fan. Oh my God, her whole room was covered.
Oh my God.
She took Brad's Clearasil because she needed brown to color.
You had to get the brown in there. Oh my God.
So when she meets Dawson,
oh Lord,
Vincent, whatever his name is,
Del Frio. It's spelled D'Onofrio. D'Onofrio. I don't know how.
D'Onofrio. I think you nailed it right. I think that's it.
D'Onofrio.
He has the look. He's got long blonde.
Yeah, the
hair,
shoulder-length blonde hair.
Just big.
He's got a big hammer in his hand too.
He's got a hammer.
Like a big hammer in his hand.
So she sees him and she's like, oh, Thor, and he's an asshole.
Oh yeah, he's a complete jackass.
He's not
He
going to let
wants
him
his
have the
money.
car over $5, but
Yeah.
she tells him what a fan she is and that she understands that if he just had his helmet, he would be okay. And it melts his fucking heart right then and
Yeah,
there.
she's
And
looking around. She's looking around. She's like, "Oh, I know why you're not happy or something like that." He's
yeah.
just looking at this little girl like he wants to hit her with his hammer. You know, he just wants his $50, not 45. He wants 50.
Yep.
And she just starts being nice to him, and she holds up. She takes off her little Thor helmet, goes to hand it to him, like you said, man. He's practically crying.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
know
like, I
how
got
he
one.
I don't know how he did that because at the time you got to figure this is probably one of his very first roles.
Yeah, he looked like he might have been 20.
Yeah.
So,
So, and he's got like almost a tear running down his cheek when this little girl's talking to him, and I'm like, where did he pull that from at that age?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everything was really good in this. This is my favorite character in this entire movie is Brenda. The girl stuck at the bus stop, and
That poor kid. She just made her own fucking misery.
she did. It was so funny is because she talks about killing her mom at the very beginning. I'm going to put Drano in her tab. And then she's like, I ran away from home, but I can't call my dad because he'll be mad.
Yeah, my dad will be mad at me.
So she's in a phone booth and that homeless guy's out there. Get out of my house. Get out of my house. So she kicks his stuff out on the floor and says, you just moved.
Yeah, you just moved. Slams the door. Oh, God. The lady,
Things
the
go
homeless-
bad for her too. Everything, the lady steals her glasses. There's that guy off in the corner with a gun, like he's gonna shoot her. And it's like, that's what I said earlier. This movie is fucking ridiculous. It's because that scene there is so insanely crazy. It works
Because everything that's going bad for the kid and the babysitter, she's over on the other side of town in a completely different building, having the exact same kind of shit go bad for her.
I would love
She tries to get a hot dog.
to see what Chris Columbus, or I don't know who wrote this, but I would love to talk to the writer on this and see. It's like, did you just take some kids and think, how do I just make their day really shitty and funny?
Oh yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
Like, how could they get out of this? Well, that's one way to get out of it. How could they miss that opportunity and have something else bad happen to them? Had to be.
And it all connects. It all just keeps going. The joke keeps playing with the bus station where the old lady, the lady that's there, starts hollering at the old man to get out of her house. Over they start fighting over the damn phone booth, and that guy's still running around with a gun.
She picks up a sewer rat.
Yeah,
the girl in
thinking it's a kitten.
Yeah, it's like a kitty. And the freaking animal guys come over. The animal, what do they call them? The dog catchers or whatever the equivalent of. Oh, that's not a cat. And they just start laughing at her. That's a rat, lady.
And they just keep laughing at her. That's just it. Everybody just. It's funny. I really enjoyed this movie. One thing I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
One of the things I am going to put out to our listeners, it is available on Disney Plus, but don't watch it there. It has been edited for language, and it was really weird to hear witch, and don't fool with the babysitter. Yeah. Disney.
Then why have it on Disney Plus? Is my thinking.
I know
it's on YouTube. I watched it on YouTube.
Oh, okay. It's yeah, because I'm sure it was available to rent places, but it was Disney they've got the Netflix Marvel shows, which are hard rated R, that you had to opt in to watch that, but then they have apparently older movies that they've edited them for language, and it's like, come on. It was off-putting, so I do recommend. It was fine. You can watch it there because I didn't feel like paying money since I already had it.
No,
so
I get it. I totally.
But it's like, fuck. If I'd have known that, I would have.
Right.
It's
like E.T. with the radios instead of the guns.
Yeah, at least there was nothing. Yeah. God, don't get me started on that one. But there was nothing actually taken out. It's just that you could tell. Also, Brad saying Thor's a homo was changed to a weirdo, and it's like.
See, the reason that's funny for a joke is it's a little brother teasing a little sister. But that joke comes back to haunt him later when he meets
Yeah, because when he says, "Oh, my brother called you a weirdo," doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But if he'd have said a homo, that would have.
My brother called you a homo, and that 6-foot+ guy just grabs him by one hand and starts lifting him off the ground and saying, "What did you say? No, no, no! It's a complete misunderstanding."
Yeah. It's
I mean, that comes back to haunt him.
Yeah, so I it's like, damn, I felt like I was watching network TV when they would do all that shit.
They don't need to do that. I'm sorry. I think very little. That's why I like Tubi. I looked for it on Tubi and I couldn't find it. But Tubi, where I'm going to plug Tubi again. We need to get them as a sponsor.
It's a great channel.
For the love of God. They have commercials. They have very short commercial breaks, much shorter than network TV, but they're uncut. The language is the language. Yep. If there's nudity in it, that's the nudity.
It's completely uncut.
It's the movie that you would go see at the movies, only with very short commercials in it. And not really bad commercial breaks at all.
No, it's not. I have no problem watching Tubi. We've done a lot of our reviews and stuff on Tubi. But But anyway, just a heads up, it will be edited if you watch it on Disney.
So right now it's on YouTube with commercials, but you can count down the commercial and hit pass it whenever it says skip commercial. So that's what I was doing all last night.
Very cool.
And they didn't have, excuse me, they didn't have that many commercial breaks in it either. So
that's good.
I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Very cool.
But Elizabeth Shue, my golly, she's just cute as a button in this. I've overlooked some of her acting until last night when I was rewatching this. This is only I think the second time I've seen it. And she, I would say, is a great comedic actor. I would put her, as a comedic actress, I would put her in just about anything I was writing right now. If I could afford to hire her and put her in a comedy, I would probably go right to her and go, "Hey, how would you like to do something funny again?" Because she's got the chops, man. Those expressions on her face, her body language, the whole time shit's going wrong in her life. You can see the frustration, and she's defenseless or helpless to do anything about it. I want to go down, if you don't mind, if you have just a minute. I have just a couple of bullet points, because that's what I do.
Let me go through mine and see what I have as well.
Do you want to go through yours first?
I think I have covered everything. I've covered all my notes.
Okay. I like the soundtrack. Soundtrack is awesome.
Oh yeah, great soundtrack.
Good music. Good. I guess it'd be Chicago blues more so than anything else. So good music. The station wagon brought back so many memories. When I saw her driving the station wagon, I was just like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant." That
was a very common car at that time.
Yeah.
And we all knew somebody who had it. If our parents didn't, we knew somebody who had that damn car.
Because eventually you needed a station wagon if you had more than 5 or 6 of your friends going out. I mean,
and it had that seat. A lot of them had the seat that faced backwards.
Yeah,
and you could sit back there looking out the back window. That's where we loved to sit.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, there's no freaking seat belts in that thing.
No, man, you could crawl all over that thing. That was awesome. Yeah.
Seat belts, fuck.
Where we're going, we don't need seat belts.
Right. With the blues joint we talked about. The Rooftop, when they're getting up and running across the rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
They're up, and I'm trying to figure out why nobody saw them. Like nobody saw them running across that big pipe when they're all down in the chop shop. And then then when they're running across the roof, they get down into the alley. It's like, there's no way those old gangster guys would have found them that quick. But other than that, it's funny that they found them, and it's the writing. The reason they found them is because of the writing, and it's so damn funny that they find them in a city that there's no way in hell these gangsters could have found them at all. Would have never been able to find these guys.
And all because that kid lost his dad's Playboy. And had he not stolen it, from the mobsters because it had notes for their chop shop, they might have actually been left alone.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because the Playboy bunny that month
Look like
looked like
Chris.
Elizabeth Shue,
Yeah.
which was Chris. And everybody's looking at this Playboy and
It's Miss
looking at her
March.
like, yeah, it's
She came
no.
to our party. Yeah.
The one guy that at the party's like, really, you got to think about it. This is like a college frat party that they're all
Did
at.
he? Did he? I just waited for him. I was waiting for him to say his name was Blaine. Uh,
Oh my God, that would have been hysterical.
I had such
Blaine?
a Andrew McCarthy vibe off of him. It's like,
Yeah,
look at this. This is the '80s.
yeah, yeah. That's funny. Um, Penelope Ann Miller. Penelope Ann Miller is the girl with the glasses that was stuck in the
Brenda. Yeah.
in yeah, it was Brenda stuck in the bus depot. The redheaded kid, I think that was Anthony Rapp. I hated that character. I would have just bounced that character off every wall because of him there was more trouble than needed to be done.
A lot.
But he kind of wins me back whenever the one kid Daryl is standing there looking at him going, I'm gonna punch you. I'd punch you, but you're too skeevy for me to hit. And he's talking to Elizabeth Shue's boyfriend because she
Yeah.
finds out he's fooling around. And the redheaded kid standing behind him goes, well, I'm not too mature for it. And he just kicks that guy into the table. Fucking spread eagle. This guy goes slamming into a table, knocks shit off.
It was great.
Limber. That kid, I was like, okay, I like that kid now.
Yeah. Yeah. He was necessary because of
Yeah.
him. A lot of shit. They had to have a way. Whoever wrote this had to have a way to make all of this shit go, and there it was.
Well, he's
Through
the
him.
clown figure.
Yep.
He's the god, the clown god, the mischief
The trickster,
maker,
yep.
the trickster, the one who comes in and causes all the trouble, and none of the trouble actually hits him.
Nope.
It comes close. That one guy's gonna beat the living hell out of him at one point.
I have a feeling that kid has skated by a lot of shit his entire life. You know.
Yeah, he's probably done it as. He's probably in his 50s now. He's probably still skating by, still getting his friend in trouble.
Probably. Do you have any other notes on?
No, that was it. We actually covered everything else that I wanted to take a look at. I was shocked. I was looking at the guy who played the Dawson, and I'm like, that guy looks really familiar. And Kat told me, she goes, he was on CSI or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, that's the Kingpin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was funny is when I saw his name pop, it's like, oh my God, is he? Holy shit! And then when I saw his portrayal of the character, it's like, it's funny because when you see actors that they'll make a movement or something that you'll see in all of their characters. And my God, I saw parts of Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, standing there, the way he cocked his head, the way he said stuff. It's like, look at you. That really is you. My God, you look so different,
He looks so freaking young and thin.
Yeah.
Weren't we all thin at one time?
Yeah. And and his portrayal of Kingpin, he's massive. I mean, he's not fat, but they make him look really, really big.
Well, I'm sure they do something with the camera to make him look even bigger too, because he's just now I think he's more just thick than he is like Kingpin. Kingpin is just he's huge, man. I mean, you could draw a circle and put eyes on it. That's the Kingpin. He's just massive.
Pretty much.
But I've seen him dressed up like the Kingpin, and I thought that was a good look. I was like, they got the right guy for him.
Yeah, so I do highly recommend to our listeners and you to watch the Daredevil series that Netflix kicked out. Very good, very fucking good. Wilson Kingpin does show up in the Hawkeye series as well.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so that was a nice surprise.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So, final thoughts on Adventures in Babysitting.
Absolutely watch it. I love it. This is a funny movie. You can't look for a deep message. There is no deep message.
It's just a fun time.
This is an 80s romp. This is an 80s comedy. This is everything going wrong in somebody's daily life. It's a night in the life of, or life in the night of, however you want to pronounce it. But it's day in the life of, night in the life of. Yeah. Night in the life of. Story, and it's just this poor kid. She didn't even want to go babysitting. No. She just kind of got suckered into it.
Can I stay home and be depressed?
Yeah. But that's funny. That's very funny. I liked it. What did you think?
My thoughts as well. Definitely a watch. This is, my God, I love 80s movies just because I'm sorry, I'm from the 80s. It takes me right back. I connect to the music, the clothes, the humor, the movie making style. It is very different. The writing's different. And of course we can say that about any era. We can go look at 40s movies. They're all, not all, but there's a little something, a little tell that's like, hey, we're watching something from this era. And this one has it in spades. I definitely give it a watch. Just go find it uncensored because it's a little off-putting to have their voices change. So,
well, not just the voices, but when the lip doesn't match the word. I could
Thankfully, I knew what had been changed because once I saw that pop up, it's like, well, let me see what I'm going to be missing. It's like no content is taken out, but words are changed, and it loses its meaning unless you know what's actually being said.
Yeah, that's witch and bitch. That doesn't mean the same thing. You're not going to take as big of offense to it,
and nobody's going to get mad being called a weirdo. Yeah. But in the 80s, if you called somebody a homo, that was a major fucking insult.
Especially a straight guy. That's
why it works. That's why that was
for that writing. If you did that now, you just have like somebody calls me a homo now. I'm like,
it won't have. People would probably look at that now and say, big fucking deal.
I usually just look at them and go, "What, are you looking for a date? What?"
Yeah, exactly.
Are you buying? That's all I want to know.
I'm cheap.
I want more than McDonald's. I need a Burger King.
At least I want it my way. So.
All the pickles, all the lettuce.
Right between the buns. And we keep going with meat and bun jokes. Okay. Wow. That went somewhere interesting.
That's funny.
Anyway.
Boom.
I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and keeping us somewhat relevant. Please go check out our other episodes on YouTube or where you listen to your podcast. Just do a search for OAMR, Old Ass Movie Reviews, where sometimes we're the old ass and it's a new movie, or sometimes we're reviewing an old ass movie. So it goes both ways. There's a joke there I'll leave alone. But anyway. Please hit like, subscribe, check us out, and we hope to bring you something absolutely fascinating or horrible next week. Thanks again.
Have a good one, folks.